Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswating Vesam Vaso Jayodiraya Nast Praesho Vudreshu Nitam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavate Nashtuki. Hare Krishna. So we are discussing, as I have told, Bhagavatam. And Prabhuji, can you allow me to share the pages? Hare Krishna, Prabhuji Nando. Or otherwise I can recite, but people cannot see it anyway. I'm reading. Sarva Bhutatma Bhavena Bhutabhasham Harim Bhavan Aradhyapo Duraradham Vishnu Stat Param Padam Sarva Bhutatma Bhavena Bhutabhasham Harim Bhavan Aradhyapo Duraradham Vishnu Stat Param Padam Sarva Bhutatma Bhavena Bhutabhasham Harim Bhavan Aradhyapo Duraradham Vishnu Stat Param Padam. Anyone wants to recite?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Can I read this?
Yes, surely, Prabhuji.
Sarva Bhutatma Bhavena Bhuta Avasham Harin Bhavan Aradhya Padura Adyam Vishnu Stat Paramam Padam. Hare Krishna.
Anyone else?
I will read. Sarvo Bhutatma Bhavena Bhutabhasham Harim Bhavan Aradhyapo Duraradhyam Vishnu Stat Paramam Padam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. And about all of you, I am reading as well.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes, please carry.
Sarva Bhutatma Bhavena Bhutabhasham Harim Bhavam Aradhyapo Durardhayam Vishnu Stat Paramam Padam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else is there? Okay, thank you. And anyone can please read out the purport. Sorry, the synonyms first.
So I'll try, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Synonyms and translation purport by Srila Prabhupada. Sarva Bhuta, in all living entities, Atma upon the supersoul, Bhavena with meditation, Bhuta of all existence, Avasam, the abode, Harim, Lord Hari, Bhavan, you, Aradhya, by worshipping, Apa, have achieved, Duraradhyam, very difficult to appropriate, Vishnu, of Lord Vishnu, that, Paramam, supreme, Padam, situation, translation covered by Srila Prabhupada. It is very difficult to achieve the spiritual abode of Hari in the Vaikuntha planet, but you are so fortunate that you are already destined to go to the abode by worshipping him as a supreme abode of all living entities. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The material bodies,
Yes, please carry on.
The material bodies of all living entities cannot exist unless sheltered by the spirit soul and the supersoul. The spirit soul is dependent on the supersoul, who is present even within the atom. Therefore, since anything material or spiritual is completely dependent on the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord is referred to here as Bhutvasa. Dhruva Maharaj, a Kshatriya, could have argued with his grandfather Manu when Manu requested him to stop fighting. But even though Dhruva could have argued that as a Kshatriya it was his duty to fight with the enemy, he was informed that since every living entity is a residence of the Supreme Lord and can be considered temple of the Lord, the unnecessary killing of any living entity is not permitted. So Prabhupada here. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for that. So we will discuss on the purport first. I mean, before that, let us pray to the No Om Agyano Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmoi Sri Guruve Namo Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Shopadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavancha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Shogana Raghunathan Nitam Tam Sajivam Shadvaitam Shabadhutam Purijana Shoita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Shogana Lolita Sri Vishatan Nitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Vipa Sindhu Prayevacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Binda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale, Prabhupada Nugami Sri Shubha Goswami Shada, Vinnashili Shubhavaya Sarva Jiva Pripadde, Guru Shiksha Sadacharo Palokaya Namastute. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, Paschatadeshatarini Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Namahati Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Paramananda Madhamam Sri Guru Dina Dharanam. Hare Krishna. So as we go to the purport of that purport, I'm just reading out the first line and a few lines on that. The material bodies of all living entities cannot exist unless sheltered by the spirit soul and super soul. This spirit soul is dependent on this super soul who is present even within atom. Therefore, since everything is material is completely dependent on this Supreme Lord, we'll speak up to that. I mean, this point I'll try to speak. Although in this material world, everybody other than the devotees live on the material basis of life. That means they consider their bodies as themselves and live their life accordingly. They think that their identity is based on the living on their body, and based on that, they try to act. Their behavior, everything is oriented based on the material body. But the devotees, particularly, I'm talking to most of the devotees here. So we all know that the identity, our identity is not this body, but the spirit soul inside this body. And Lord Sri Krishna, in conversation with Arjuna in chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, he was explaining to Arjuna that why Arjuna was initially bewildered when he found that on his other side, his own guru is there, his relatives are there, his friends are there, and he has to kill them. And so he was hesitant to fight. And it was one of the reasons he gave to Lord Sri Krishna that he won't fight, because by killing all of them, he will incur sin. And so he did not want to fight. On this basis, based on that, on hearing that, Lord Sri Krishna was trying to tell him, Arjuna, that why he should fight on that pretext or on this context. On Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, verse 11 to 30, he was trying to explain the characteristic feature of the soul and also in the body, how it acts. And one of the properties or the characteristics of the soul is that whenever it remains within the body remains conscious, and the body undergoes changes. And what are the changes the body normally, any living body does? Any living being, whether it is an animal body, whether it is an insect body, whether it is a human body, so long the soul is inside that body, the body undergoes 6 changes. And these 6 changes are, do anybody knows it about that? Can anybody tell me what are the changes that takes place in the body when the living body, soul is inside the body?
It is born, it grows, and it stays for some time. Then it reproduces.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Dwindles.
Dwindles
Then-
and
And
dies.
then ultimately it vanishes. So these are the characteristics of living body. And so long the body, the Atma is there, it undergoes this change. But as soon as the Atma and Paramatma leaves the body, it loses its consciousness, and also the living feature, living vitality that is normally reflected. It has got eyes and the what do you say, reflection, living things, living feature that is enlivened, that enlivens the body, that goes immediately, and the body starts decaying. So only with the presence of the soul, the body is living, and with its departure, it is no more. It starts decomposing, and that is one of the feature of the body. And that is one of the feature of the Atma. And the other feature of the Atma, Lord Sri Krishna was telling to Arjuna was that it has got two characteristics he was telling. First is Najayate Mriyate. It never is Najayate Mriyate Bakadachi Nayam Gutta Bhavitana Bho Ajo Nitto Shashutayam Purano Nahannate Namani Shari. He was telling that this Atma is never born. It is eternal and it is permanent. It doesn't born with the born of a living being, nor it dies when a body dies. And other thing, and another feature is that it is noinong chindante shastrani, noinong dhoti pavoko, no choinong kledayanti opo, no shoshayati maruto. I mean, no weapons can kill it, no fire can burn it, no water can moisten it, and no air can dry it out. So these are the features of Atma, or the spirit soul. And similarly, the Paramatma is also situated in every body. And now we are trying to discuss what is the relation between Atma. As we have seen in the purport, that you see, the living body cannot exist here. The spirit soul is dependent on the super soul. And the first line is that living entities cannot exist unless sheltered by the spirit. So we have just told that spirit soul, unless it is present in a living body, cannot exist. And now we are trying to find out that what is the relation between spirit soul and the super soul. The Lord is also present within every living being as Paramatma. And in various places of Bhagavad Gita, in various places, so many places it is mentioned that Lord is present as Paramatma in every living being. And I am just trying to quote from, I'm starting from one place from where it is mentioned first, and then I'll try to go to other places as well. The first is in chapter 13, that is nature, enjoyer, and consciousness, or Khetra is also called. This chapter is called. Arjuna was asking to Lord Sri Krishna that I want to know what is nature, what is the Prakriti and Purusha, who is the enjoyer, and who is the Khetra and who is the Khetragya, and what is knowledge and what is the object of knowledge. And this was the first question Arjuna has asked in verse 1. And Lord Sri Krishna in verse 2 he said, Idam Shariram Kauntya. This body is called Idam Shariram Kauntya Khetragya. Idam Shariram Khetragya. The Lord is telling that this body is the Khetra. And who is the knower of this body? He is the Khetragya. One who knows this body is that means he was mentioning here that normally in our perception, the individual person or the individual body is the owner of the body, But Lord, in the third verse, he is telling, Kshetrogam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu. That means all living bodies, I enter as Kshetrogya also. So in that verse, in the third verse, the Lord is specifically telling that I am also present as Kshetrogya in every living body. And what he is telling, that he is not only Kshetrogya for individual body. Normally what happens, if we are the owner of the body, we think that we know what is happening within our body. Everybody knows it. What is happening in my body, suppose I have a pain, I understand it. But because your Atma is different in your body, you cannot understand what is happening within my body. So you are not Kshetrogya for my body. Everyone is individually owner of his body, and he knows what is happening within the body and what is going on. But the Lord is telling, I am the knower of all the bodies. So whatever is happening within every body, within every living entity, the Lord knows it. And that is the unique feature of the Lord. Lord is always residing within our heart, and he is trying to he is trying to give us he's giving us the knowledge, what knowledge we have got and how we can live our life. And in this way, the relationship between the individual soul and the Paramatma, or the super soul, is called. Super soul is being referred in, as I have told, in chapter verse 3. And another feature of the Paramatma and the Atma is that Paramatma is the knower of all the field. Not only that, he knows everything. Within our body, we know that the Paramatma is aware of individual body and all the bodies, and he is directing us. He is directing us what we should do. In fact, our relationship with the Lord, the Paramatma is trying to reminding us, because our body has got the gross body and the subtle body. The gross body is made of 8 elements, and in chapter 7, verse 4, verse 4, Lord is telling to Arjuna that Bhumir opavano lovayu mano buddhi revacha ahankarang nityang me bhinna prakriti ashtala. These are the composition of our material body. That what are that? That is Bhumi, earth, water, fire, air, and the sky, and the ether. These are the gross body, and mono buddhi, the mind, intelligence, and the false ego. That is the gross body. And but he is in that in the next verse, in 7.5, he is referring that Oporyang itosthanganam prakriting vidhime parang jivahuto mahabaho oidang dharchudeyava. But there is a superior energy of the Lord. That is the marginal energy which every living being has. That is the superior energy. Superior energy, that is the spiritual energy. And for a human being, we have both spiritual energy and material energy together. And our relationship with the Lord, we can know only through the spiritual energy. And that's why Lord is always trying to give us this knowledge that please try to get rid of this material energy and try to come to me. Because our soul is confined within the body, our senses are being influenced by the material body, and whatever we see or whatever a normal person does, he does it because of the material concept, and because the soul is covered by the material energy of the Lord. But the Lord is trying to help us to get rid of this marginal, because our position is marginal, as I told, we have the option, either we can go to the spiritual level or we can come down. As we are, by default, we are in the material level, and we are always thinking based on this bodily concept. But the Lord is helping us and trying to remind us our relationship with Him, and our relationship with the Lord is our Sharupa. That means that is our original identity. But we are, because our material coverings, we have forgotten that relationship with the Lord, and we are trying to be independent. And of course, no one can be independent, as in the verse it is mentioned. The spirit soul is dependent on the super soul. Why we are not? Why we cannot be independent? Because the Lord is independent. Lord is short out, and He is independent. But He has given us, every living being, some sort of partial independence, and we are those who are using it. We can use it either properly based on our sharup, or what is our sharup is to our true relationship with the Lord, or we can work on the material level. And if we work on the material level, we always we are responsible for our activities, and we bind ourselves with the material world. And in this way, we get entangled with the material activities, and one after another we have a desire, or we want to enjoy the material nature. And in this way, life after life, we are going in this way, and life after life, this janma mrityu jara vyadhi, we suffer the consequences of this material world. But the Lord is telling us every moment, please come back to us, come back to me. And Lord gives you the info, give us the knowledge to come back to Him. And in Bhagavad Gita, in Chatushloki also, He's telling in Chatushloka, in the first 10.8, it is telling that He is Aham Sarvasya Prabhu. He is telling He is supreme. And on that one, next He is telling He also telling in 10 that in verse 10 He is telling that I give the intelligence by which they can come unto me. So the Lord is giving us the intelligence, but whether we use it or we do not use it, that liberty, that independence, partial independence, Lord has given us. Those who are trying to advance toward God realization, the Lord supplies him the knowledge, and we can progress. And those who do not like to advance, we get entangled in the material life, and based on the individual and the bodily concept, we remain in the circle of vicious circle of birth, death. In this way, life after life, we are suffering for that. And in the same thing, in verse, in chapter 15, verse 15, the Lord says that Sarvasya cha hridhi sannivishto matta sriti vijnanam apohanam cha vedescha sarvo aham eva vedto vedanto krit vedavid eva chaham. So he is telling that the Lord is giving in the sitting in our heart. He gives us the knowledge, he gives us the forgetfulness. And what is that knowledge? Normally, when any living body, when it dies, after we forget what we have in our past life. And based on our desire and our reactions of our work, we get a new body. And when the new body comes, we have forgotten what we have in our past life. And God, Krishna reminds us what we had in the previous life and help us to start our new life. And in this way, the Lord is also trying to remind us that what we have to do. But some people are influenced by the material energy because they have a strong desire to enjoy, and they get entangled again and again. And so this is the thing, the relationship between Atma and Paramatma. And the other thing is that what one should do in his human life. The human life is meant for realization of our relationship with the Lord. And in Bhagavatam, in Canto 5, verse 5, chapter 5 and verse 1, Rishabdev was also telling his son that this human body is so blessed that only human being among all the living beings is capable of understanding the God realization. So our human body that we have got by virtue of our previous life, good karma of our previous life, we should not misuse this human life like an animal. Because animal, but if we go for enjoyment and work hard only for material enjoyment, we will fail to know the goal of our human life. Human life is a blessing from the God, and it is an opportunity. It is a sadhan shari, or it is meant for devotional service to the Lord and to know our real relationship with the Lord. Because if we do not make use of our human life, our opportunity to approach the Lord and to realize our relationship with the Lord and go back to the Lord is never, we will never be able to go to, because we will again go to the circle of birth and death again, and no one knows how many lives we have to spend that way, and we'll have no opportunity to come back to the Lord. Got it? And what is our sorry, the same thing has been told in Bhagavad Gita 18.61. Yes, it is told that Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Riddhesya Arjuna Tishtati Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani Yantra Arurani Maya. That means seated in a material body, we are moving, wandering, and the Lord is seated in our heart, and He is informing us to go back to Godhead, but it is an opportunity for us to go back to Godhead. And in the next verse, and in 1862, I think, yes, it is mentioned that our duty is to surrender to utilizing our independence. Our independence, as I have told us, is two. One is to either to surrender to the Lord and go back to the Godhead, or else remain in the material level and life after life remain in this cycle of birth and death and suffer the three modes of material sufferings. And so in 1862, the Lord is telling that to Arjuna was telling, Tameva sharanam gaccha sarva bhavena bharata tat prasadat paramam shantim sthanam prapyoji shashyatam. That means a living body should surrender to the Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality Godhead, who is situated in everyone's heart, and that will relieve him from all kind of miseries of the material existence. And by such surrender, not only with one released from all miseries of life, but at the end, he will reach the Supreme God. So that is the relationship between Atma and Paramatma in our body, and what is our duty. I have tried to explain. If anybody has anything to tell on this point, he can please tell me, and then I will discuss about the duties of a Kshatriya king and what are the duties of a Kshatriya and how Dhruva Maharaj is fulfilling it, that one. If anybody wants to tell anything about, to add on to that, he can. I request if anybody can tell anything on this.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Very good to start. So in short, super soul is the IMF and individual soul is the loan.
Yeah.
Individual country takes the loan. So you have to return your loan in due course of time. And there is a catch. There is a catch. If you follow the rules and regulation of the IMF, then it's okay. If we are not, then we are bound to face the penalty. That's how the IMF works on. So similarly, the soul is given freely to individual living entity, but it is we are duty bound to get it back to him with proper attitude, not to waste these activities of not to do such activities which doesn't help us to return to the Supreme Lord.
Godhead, yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji, it is in a similar, you are very nice. Thank you for the point to raise about that one. I just, it comes to my, I mean, sometimes I think, but it is my personal opinion. Please correct me, the other devotees are there and senior devotees, please correct me. The relationship between an individual soul and super soul, and nowadays in this information technology, everybody knows it. When a computer is connected to a network, you know that there is a server where everything is being controlled. Just as individual computer, we are working, but every control and everything is given from the server through Active Directory and other things. So individual activity is always monitored by the Supreme Lord. So similarly, Lord is seated in our heart. He is observing what we are doing, and based on our desire, he is enabling us to do what we can do, but the consequence is ours. The Lord is always trying to help us to go back to Godhead, but in general we refuse to accept it and remain in this material world, and as a result facing the consequences.
Yeah.
Facing the consequences.
Yeah, just like IMF. When you
Yes,
pay the loan, you get the loan again. But if you don't pay the loan, you are in debt.
face the consequence.
And slowly you become under his scratch.
And
Thank
this,
you, Prabhu.
thank you. And the next one, next topic I like to talk about is the duty of a Kshatriya and what are the qualities required for a Kshatriya to doing, and vis-a-vis, and as against that, how Dhruva Maharaj has done it. And we all know that in the Vedic system, the social order is arranged in 4 orders, and they are called Varna, 4 Varnas. The 4 Varnas are the first one is Brahmana, second is Kshatriya, third is Vaishya, and fourth is Shudra. And this division of society was created by the Lord. And in Bhagavad Gita, I think 4.13, Lord has told, Chaturvarnam maya srishtam guna karma vibhavasha tasya kartaramapi vidhimam tasya kartaramapi mam vidhi akartaramapayam. Of course, these 4 divisions is created by the Lord, but the Lord is above it. We must know it, that Lord is not in this material, Lord is not affected by this material division of labor, because they are based on guna and karma. It's guna, karma. Guna means here there are 3 modes, we know, that is Sattva, Raja, and Tama, in the mode of goodness, in the mode of passion, in the mode of ignorance. And of course, it is not that a person has got completely Sattva guna and completely Raja guna and completely Tama guna, but it is a mixture of that. But which one is predominates based on that quality, he and the activities he performs, the Varna is decided. And these qualities of a Kshatriya, I mean, we'll discuss about the qualities of a Kshatriya and how he discharges duty, and how he should discharge his duty, and how Dhruva Maharaj had discharged, and what happened if there is a departure or something like that. We'll discuss about that. The first is that Kshatriya, the word Kshatriya actually comes from is a combination of 2 verbs, Kshat and Trayate. Kshat means injury or heart, one heart or injury, and Trayate means one who saves. So Kshatriya in means one who saves one from injury, or a heart from there. In the society, the Kshatriyas are given the charge of saving the society, or preserving the society from any being hurt. Normally, in a society, two sort of hurt. I mean, in the society, members can be subjected to. The first is the external things. Sometimes there may be external aggressions, and the people, those who are the subjects, they are subjected to invasion, and the Kshatriyas has to protect them. That is one activity, and the other is to maintain the administration and to maintain justice in the system. Because and in both the cases, the Kshatriyas' duty is to protect the religious order, to work in the religious order, so that the subjects or the members of the society are not prone to it, are not subjected to these sort of attacks. And in case of external, and what are these are the two things. And the quality of the Kshatriya, before that, I'm one thing. So in Kshatriya, the Kshatriyas have to use of force. Often it is necessary that particularly to protect the citizens from the external aggression, the Kshatriyas have to use force. Of course, yesterday our Shri Krishna Prabhu has told that use of violence, he was narrating very nicely that the violence can be done in three ways. Kaya Manubhakya, in the means through our mind, through our words, through our body. But here, and he has very nicely explained, today we will not discuss on that aspect. We will discuss about the physical violence the Kshatriya has to undertake. The Kshatriyas has to, as we have told, to stop the foreign aggression, he has to use force. Now, the use of force by a Kshatriya, to what extent it is permitted and what extent it is not, that is mentioned in our Shastra. And before that, another thing, let me tell also the qualities of a Kshatriya, what the quality should be to do his duty as a Kshatriya. In chapter 18, verse 1843, remember? Yes, it is mentioned that Shauryam Tejo Dhiti Ridaksham Yuddhe Chapi Apolayanam Dana Mishra Bhavascha Kshatram Karma Savavajam. That means it is telling that heroism and the power, Shauryam means heroism, and Tejo means power, and Dhriti means determination, and Daksham means resourcefulness, and Juddhe Chapi Apalayanam. The Kshatriya is never afraid to go to fight in the war. And Danam Ishwar Bhavascha, he has a capacity to fight. I mean, to protect the citizens. Danam, sorry, he is a wide-hearted. He gives protection to everybody, the natural leader. And Ishwara Bhavascha, Ishwara means he wants to control her. He takes charge himself to take the responsibility. Whenever there is a problem, the Kshatriya immediately goes there and takes charge of the things. He takes the charge of protecting the citizens. And if we recall again the discussion between Arjuna and Lord Sri Krishna, he was not. Lord Sri Krishna was telling Arjuna, as I have told, that he was not willing to fight. And in this case, Lord Sri Krishna has reminded Arjuna that as a Kshatriya, it is your responsibility to undertake a war which has arisen because of natural situation. let me quote the verse. It is, which verse? It is 231, yes. Shadharmam chapi chaveksha na vikampitu marhoshi dharmadhi juddhasya anya kshatriya shana vidyate. Considering a specific duty as a kshatriya, you should know that there is no better arrangement for you fighting the religious principle. And according to that, you have to fight. Similarly, so what is the what in which cases we'll now discuss, in which cases violence is permitted. Violence permitted in our shastra. It is not that a Kshatriya does it whimsically. He does not use his force whimsically. He uses his force for the protection of his citizens and for a religious purpose. That means to protect the citizens and for the interest of the religious principle. And in our Shastra, as I've told, the common people has also been given the permission to use violence, and I am just quoting. It is mentioned in Boshishta Sriti, and the Sanskrit verse is like that. Agnido Garadashchaiva Shastra Pani Dhanapaha Kshetro Dara Abhattacho Shareti Hi Atataina. In Boshishta Sriti, in chapter 3, in verse 19 and 20, it is mentioned. So, Ognido means one who gives fire to a property. One who gives fire to a property. And Ognido, Garad means poison. One who is a poison giver. Shastro Pani. Pani means hand, and one who has got weapons in his hand. And one who takes away another's, one who plunders another's wealth, who takes away another's wealth. This 4, and then 5th is Khetro Darahot. Khetro means land. So here, who forcibly takes away another's land, and Dara means wife. So one who forcefully takes away another wife. In those cases, these 6 persons are considered Atatai, and they can be killed, and no sin is incurred when a person does these things. That is for a common people, it is told, but what we are discussing is about Kshatriya. So Kshatriyas permitted, use of force is permitted, and in Parashar Muni, in his what it is called, Parashar, he has told where the Kshatriyas can use force. And he is still in his Parashar Smriti that in the battlefield, it is like that. In the battlefield, a king of Kshatriya, while fighting with another king, envious of him, is eligible for achievement. No, sorry. He is telling that the Kshatriyas have to use force, and for where they can do that, he is telling that he can to protect the citizens. He has to use force, and that is permitted. But he has to use it only for the welfare of the society and for the religious purpose. And when a Kshatriya enters into a battle and uses his force, 2 things may happen. Either he may die, or the other side can die. In case he dies another person, he is exempted from any sinful reaction in our Shastra. So when a Kshatriya involves in a fight, he does not incur any sin. But if a Kshatriya is killed in the battle, he gets to the heavenly planet. And so, in other words, he does not incur any sinful reaction on that. And the other thing is that one may say a question: if the Kshatriya uses a force, and Lord Sri Krishna has told Arjuna in chapter 2 that 2 things were I'm just telling why there may be some other arguments that if Kshatriya is exempted from that, excuse me, it may appear that Lord Sri Krishna has told Arjuna, as we have also previously told, Atma is indestructible. It is never burnt. It is never dried, and it is eternal. But the body is transitory, and depending on the life of the person or the species, it will die one day or other. So Arjuna should not worry about that. It does not give Arjuna the right to kill anybody anytime. And in fact, because some people, particularly those who have no knowledge about the Shastra, they may argue that the Atma is not destructible. Okay, that's fine. You cannot kill it by weapons and all that. So you cannot kill it. And the body is bound to be destroyed one day or the other. So by killing, by killing, you are not incurring any. By killing, when it is killed, you should not worry for that, because one day or the other it will die. Whoever is born, yatashohi dhruvo mitu dhruvo janma mitasya. So one who is born, he will die. So if one is killed, that you have not to worry about that. But it is not the arguments. They are making a wrong arguments out of Sri Krishna's advice to Arjuna. And I'm telling for those particularly who are the preachers, they may have to face this. They may face this the argument from the other side that Arjuna, Sri Krishna is telling to indulge in violence by killing the opposite sides. But it is not the case, because in our religious scriptures there is a strict injunction: Ma hinshat sarva bhutani. No one should be killed, because each one has the God has ordained a specific life for him. If he does not, normally for an animal and other things, they are one life after another. They are gradually improving, and they are at one time they will become human being by gradual increase in their consciousness. They will come to a human being. Similarly, a human being has the opportunity, has a specific life God has given, and one should not shorten it, and by that he may incur sin. But when a Kshatriya kills it, as I have told, when a Kshatriya kills, he does not incur any sin. That just as a Brahmana, when an animal is sacrificed in a yajna, or a sacrifice, the animal gets a human life immediately. So he has crossed this cycle of birth and death, and immediately gets human life, and he doesn't incur any sin. The Brahmana doesn't incur any sin. Similarly, a Kshatriya also does not incur any sin, because he is doing it for the betterment of the person. Sometimes I'm talking about the internal law and order. Sometimes people is hanged or other things. His life is taken away by and Kshatriya has to do that. And while doing that, he does not incur any sin, because the person who was liable for his action, he gets the action liability immediately. Kshatriya has not incurred any sin, and the person is also relieved of his reaction in this life without going to the next life. So that is the argument we can say. But in all other cases, unnecessary killing is not permitted, and Ma hinsat sarva bhutani applies everywhere. So with that, but in case of Dhruva Maharaj, he had exceeded he wanted to kill the whole Jaksha family. One lakh, and a particular Jaksha has killed his brother, whether wrongfully or rightfully, it is not mentioned. I'm not sure of that. But one thing is sure, that instead of he as a Kshatriya, it is his responsibility to protect his citizens, including his brother. So he has gone there, he has punished them, that's fine. But he cannot arbitrarily take the determination to kill all of them and to annihilate the creation of the Brahma, all the yakshas. That is not permitted. And that permission is not given as Mahingshat Sarva Bhutani. He should not, out of his personal anger, he should not kill them. And so that part is not supported by Swayambhu Muni. And Swayambhu Manu, that's why advises that Swayambhu Manu has come to Dhruva Maharaj and telling him that you should not act, because the devotee of the Lord, you are a devotee of the Lord, your act should not hurt others. And by your action as a Kshatriya, you should prove that you are doing within the ambit of the religious principle. So Dhruva Maharaj was put to sense because he was trying to make his personal sense gratification by annihilating all the yakshas. And Swayambhu Manu has rightly intervened and put him in the right place, so that as a Kshatriya king, he does his duty properly, and by this way, as a devotee of the Lord, he can ensure justice for everybody. So with that, I think these 2 points I have discussed. If anybody has any questions and to add anything on this point, please do so, because I am a very new, my knowledge is very poor. So if you can add it, I'll be very happy to learn from you, and the others can also hear about me. Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji's and Mataji's.
Hare Krishna devotees, we still got a bit of time. Anybody got any reflection or points, comments? Please come forward. But this time, I'd like to thank Abhash Goswami Prabhuji for a very wonderful class. You've done a lot of research, and these 2 points, relation between Atma and Paramatma, and how one can kill in what circumstances. You've put so many scriptures. Prabhu, thank you very much. So we still got time. Anybody have any comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, it's a nice class. You have taken to Bhagavad Gita from chapter 2, chapter 7, chapter 18, so nicely. And you have described how the soul and spirit soul and our situation in material world. And you have also discussed super soul is the Paramatma and sitting in our heart. Very nicely you described. And also how nicely described duty of the Kshatriyas. Very nice. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji, for that.
Thank you for the nice class, Prabhu. So I especially like that the way how you balance the need for violence when it is absolutely required. Violence the kings cannot avoid. I think that you nicely pointed out both the sides of the coin. That sometimes violence is necessary, and it has to be in a balanced way. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. 2 sections are nicely described, and you have shown the limitation of a Kshatriya, how nicely you prescribe the whole chapter from Bhagavad Gita, encircling the duties of a Kshatriya. And those Kshatriyas are duty bound, but they must remember that there is a certain limit up to which they can act, otherwise become irreligion, which is mentioned earlier. So that's that religion and irreligion is Swayambhuman is trying to remind Dhruva Maharaj so that he doesn't cross the limit.
Yes.
Nicely explained, Prabhuji. It's a good start. Keep it up.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for your blessings.
Hare Krishna.
Anyone else? Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavad.
Pranam. I just wanted to share that I can see Prabhupada's miracle working.
Sorry, Prabhuji. It is too much at this day.
I'm just seeing Prabhupada's miracle working. Prabhupada has created such a wonderful process that anybody who sincerely tries to follow get the same result. And Prabhupada's miracles are working even today. And I remember, Abhash Prabhuji, we went to your house how long back?
Yeah.
Some years back?
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Maybe 5-6 years back.
Yes.
And that time,
Prabhuji, you have visited so
Prabhu wanted to have some Bhagavad Gita recitation at your place. And now in 5 years' time, Prabhuji is actually giving Bhagavatam class on behalf of the temple.
Sorry, Prabhuji.
Is it not Prabhupada's miracle?
It is a
Yes,
service.
Prabhuji.
It's so wonderful, so nice and so wonderful to see people coming and being an integral part of Prabhupada's family and mission and taking this.
Right, Prabhuji.
Thank you, everybody, for.
I hope together in South Auckland, apart from Nandaraj Prabhu's wonderful programs, we were able to create another avenue for people to come and have a taste of Prabhupada's wonderful miracles that are still happening today. So thank you very much for taking this up and being part of this wonderful forum. Thank you very much.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
This is again the effect of the Kartik program.
Yes, all activities are Prabhuji encouraging anything, whatever may be the way, but if we get involved and we learn from that, that is what we have to do. That is the process.
Krishna, anybody else got any reflection, comments before we end? Okay, it doesn't seem to be. So, Prabhu, on behalf of everyone, all the present, the Vaishnava devotees on this forum, and elsewhere listening on Facebook, we'd like to thank you very much for coming forward this morning to give a wonderful class. You've done a lot of research, and it's a reflection of your sincerity in presenting Srila Prabhupada mission. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu, for coming forward.
Thank you, everybody, for the blessings and for their mercy. Thank you.
His Grace, His Grace, Abhash Goswami Prabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go from the Hare Vancha
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Jai. Go from the Hare